see what's going on. Obviously, you've seen what's going on in California, but the governor gave this creepy fucking speech where he was talking about speculators coming in and talking about what to do with the land of all these homes that have been burnt down while it's still only 6% contained. And he did this little dance like, I've been talking with these, with the governor of Hawaii about what to do. We got some ideas. A speculator. We're gonna have some meetings. Like, he's
really.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse. Who hasn't?
It started with a smirk, the kind that says, "I've got this," but by the end, all that was left was scorched earth. Somewhere, in the chaos, Gavin Newsom looked around, searching for the right camera to panic into, but the damage was already unfolding in real time. Joe Rogan came in first, swinging facts like kettlebells heavy, fast, and impossible to dodge. Then Greg Gutfeld stepped up, lacing every punchline with the kind of sting that hits harder than California taxes. What followed wasn't just a takedown, it was a slow-motion collapse, dressed as live television. Policy unraveled like a badly scripted drama, and no, not even Newsom's perfectly sculpted hair gel could hold things together. This wasn't politics. It was performance. And trust me, we're gonna want popcorn for this one.
Not President Newsom either. Nobody believes in that guy. That guy's a fucking con man. Everything he did in California, from trying to mandate vaccines for kids, being caught public without a mask and lying about the fact that he was outdoors.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in that guy. He's just a politician. Just a stone cold, narrative driven politician. Nobody thinks he's a real human. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you think he's corrupt or not, that's a human being. You know what that guy is. Same thing with RFK Jr. Whether you believe that he's correct about vaccines or whether you believe his policies would be effective, and that's a human being. With Newsom, you got like this construct, this cardboard cutout of a person. I don't think people want that, but they might want it more than they want President.
To cut to Gavin Newsom, camera slowly, zooming in on that award-winning hair like it's about to broker world peace through conditioner. He's posted up at the podium, radiating the confidence of a man who genuinely believes the universe could use a little more him. And then boom, the voiceover drops like a mic from the heavens. Because when two heavyweight truth sniffers lock onto California's sparkle prince, it's not a debate. It's not a dialogue. It's a slow motion, high definition, demolition, dazzling, and dressed to impress.
Gavin ponders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. But
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes.
Was it because of Israel? Yes. Interest rates? Yes. Too woke? Yes. It's like every bad policy that trickled up to the White House during the Biden administration started in California. That state is responsible for the worst politicians in modern history. And he is at the top of the list. And there are some ignoramuses on that.
Now, let's talk about Gavin. The man doesn't just walk into a room, he arrives like it's the final strut of a fashion show titled Government Overreach, but make it sexy. He's mastered the political triple threat, a smile straight out of a toothpaste commercial, a voice that floats like a TEDx talk, and leadership that feels like your Wi-Fi full bars, but somehow always buffering. On paper, he's the dream charisma in a tailored suit, dripping with climate buzzwords and just enough recycled paper credentials tucked in his back pocket to clinch a sustainability award. Or at least a flattering headline.
Or their houses have been burned, all their childhood memorabilia, all the stuff for their kids, the photos, the fucking everything they have is gone. All heirlooms, their mother's wedding ring, that kind of shit. Everything's burnt to the ground. And this guy's like standing in front of all this stuff, and he's got a smile on his face, and he's talking about land use.
The development plans.
Watch this.
And don't even get us started on the climate sermons. Gavin's got enough green policies to stock an entire Whole Foods and maybe a farmer's market on the side. But California's energy grid, it's hanging on by a thread. One strong breeze, and the whole thing has an identity crisis. Go electric. They cheer right before politely asking residents not to charge their cars between 4 and 9 p.m. because, well, the sun called it a day early. Peak irony. Banning gas stoves while half the state's cooking dinner by flashlight. Hoping their frozen plant-based nuggets don't melt in the blackout.
And he's the guy who thinks he's going to run for president when, so much of the state is absolutely unlivable. And so every project that he's championed, he's now trying to demonize conveniently. And people are not that dumb. Like, people have been through it in his state. They are sick of him. They want him to leave. And maybe that's why so many people around him are like, you should totally run for president. So he gets out of the state.
Yes. Move away. Tyrus, did he leave out any?
Joe Rogan didn't just leave California, he evacuated. Like a man spotting a glitch in the simulation and deciding, yeah, I'm out. Before peeling off down I-10 East like it was the exit ramp to sanity. And honestly, who could blame him? When your home state starts looking less like Malibu and more like a live-action Fallout trailer, even a sauna-loving, elk-hunting, mushroom-chewing podcast prophet has to tap out. So Rogan ditched Hollywood smog for Texas freedom like a UFC fighter trading kale for creatinine. He did not go quietly. He brought the biggest megaphone in modern media, the Joe Rogan Experience. This isn't your aunt's podcast. This is a digital beast with over 100 million listeners and an algorithm so powerful it probably gives CNN stress dreams. His magic formula: zero filters, maxed out, what the hell is going on here, energy. And nothing triggered that classic Roganite witch faster than Gavin Newsom's lockdown logic. While Californians were counting toilet paper squares and reheating soup by candlelight, Gavin was out there living like it was the tasting menu apocalypse. Rogan saw it for what it was: a lit immunity, dressed up as leadership. And when he called it out, he dragged Newsom's hypocrisy so hard, the French laundry reservation system nearly went into witness protection.
Down in Hawaii, you had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
With a big smile on his face. Look at the little wiggle he does with his shoulders. Speculator, watch this. Talking to Josh. Look at this. Look at this little wiggle. It's excited about the possibilities of speculators coming in. And he's saying, move forward. We're going to move forward on that. These people lost their homes. A lot of those people don't even have fire insurance because the fire insurance pulled out of California. I think 69% of fire insurance pulled out of California because they're like, this is too crazy. Like, you guys aren't doing jack shit to manage this. You're not clearing the brush.
He didn't do it alone either. Rogan assembled a brain trust doctors, economists, comedians with PhDs in sarcasm together. They painted a picture that was less land of opportunity and more bureaucratic fever dream. California's policies, they said, made less sense than a TikTok investment seminar. Small businesses got hammered while big corporations skated by untouched. Health mandates felt like they were decided by shaking a magic 8-ball and asking, should we ruin brunch today? And all of it was rubber-stamped with that signature Newsom grin, the kind that says, trust me, I use organic hair gel. Then came the tech exodus. The new Oregon Trail, minus the dysentery, plus Teslas. Rogan didn't just talk about it, he lived it. Packed up his studio, waved goodbye to the Golden State, and planted his flag in Austin, where blackouts weren't. A daily gamble in government didn't feel like a group project gone rogue. But here's the kicker. His sharpest critique didn't come from data, or experts, or even those viral monologues. It came from something far more powerful. The raw, visceral vibe of lived experience, because sometimes, the clearest signal that something's broken is when the people who built it start walking away.
So, while Californians have lost their homes and they're still suffering from the devastation, what does Gavin Newsom decide to do? Well, now is apparently the perfect time to try and boost his popularity and essentially promote himself. He's launched a podcast. I'll play you the trailer in just a moment, but take notice. Does the trailer that he shared with the world on X, does it even mention the most horrific fire catastrophe that occurred under his leadership, partly as a result of the decisions he was making, like cutting fire prevention? No, this is his chance to talk about his image, insisting that he's no ordinary politician.
Rogan didn't have to scream. He didn't need smoke or fireworks. He just looked around, grabbed the mic, and said what anyone with a functioning frontal lobe was already thinking. This doesn't work. And then came Greg Gutfeld, like a raccoon, with a thesaurus and a grudge. This man doesn't just roast hams. He's not here to rant. He's here to fillet every ounce of political phoniness with a smirk, a scalpel-sharp punchline, and a side-eye so potent it could curdle almond milk. Gutfeld is a 5-course meal of mockery, served with a sprig of satire and wrapped in photo-ready hair. He takes one look at Gavin Newsom's high-gloss, airbrushed aura and immediately clocks the contradiction. The man looks like a cologne ad, but governs like he's playing SimCity on nightmare mode with the cheat codes turned off. Gutfeld breaks it down like this. Here's Gavin, front and center on the cover of Vanity Fair, styled like a politician assembled in a Westworld lab. Now pan out. Behind him are tent cities, sidewalks turned latrines, boarded up shops sitting next to cold-pressed juice bars still clinging to the dream. It's dystopia meets day span somehow. Gavin's grinning, like he just solved homelessness with a scented candle and a couple of positive affirmations.
Thing. I think there's about 100 other reasons too.
Well, you can't, it's not his words when he speaks.
Yeah.
You have to watch him closely. And some genius decided not to film him any lower than the shoulder.
Yes, did you? Yes.
So what did he do?
You couldn't see the hands.
No, but he sent Morse code.
Yes.
Go back and watch it. Look at the blinking. Blink, look. Meet me at the house. Like, he's blinking. He's sending, I'm getting there. Hey, just so you know, I'm not wearing pants.
But Gutfeld doesn't stop at dunking on the aesthetics. He goes straight for the jugular. Media worship. He shines a spotlight on the way legacy outlets fawn over Gavin like he's a reincarnated Kennedy. Reincarnated with a reusable tote bag. The headlines call it bold leadership. The reality looks more like a crime-ridden Coachella with parking fines. Gutfeld's monologues don't just sting, they draw blood. He mocks how the press gushes over Gavin's every move, while the people living under his so-called leadership are out here playing Russian roulette with their rent, their gas tank, and what's left of their mental stability. California families can't afford groceries, but sure. Let's run another editorial about how dreamy his climate policy sounds. Then comes the climate comedy, and this is where Gutfeld truly hits his stride like a caffeinated sniper with a script, solar panels, carbon neutrality, equity this and equity that. It all sounds beautiful, especially in a speech delivered from behind a mahogany podium under perfect lighting. But who's footing the bill? Not the bureaucrats, not the influencers who repost Gavin's quotes in pastel fonts. It's the working families getting slapped with fines, baking through blackouts, and squinting at charging stations that exist mostly in PowerPoint slides. Meanwhile, the officials cruise by in government-issued hybrids, waving from their climate summit carpools. Gutfeld peels back the performative greenwashing with surgical precision. Because in the end, it's not about saving the planet, it's about saving face on Instagram.
Gavin Newsom talks about California. He's like, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. Hey, they're all moving. The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move. It's too expensive to leave versus all the bullshit with all the permits and all that. It's too expensive. Believe that he's correct about vaccines or whether you believe his policies would be effective. And that's a human being. With Newsom, you've got like this construct, this cardboard cutout of a person. I don't think people want that, but they might want it more than they want president.
But Gutfeld saves his sharpest blade for Gavin's presidential pipe dream. Whispers of a 2028 run echo like gospel in elite circles. But Gutfeld, he's not buying the incense-scented hype. He doesn't just mock it, he dismantles it. The idea that the man who can't manage one state is somehow the answer for an entire nation. Please, Gutfeld's take is ruthless. He's running all right, but it's from accountability, not for office. And the punchlines. They practically write themselves. Newsom's White House ambitions, Gutfeld says, are like trying to franchise a restaurant that's actively failing its health inspection. Sure, the sign looks pretty, but the kitchen, it's infested. And the Yelp reviews, they're written in flames. It's comedy, yes, but it's damning. Because behind every laugh hides a truth, too ugly to airbrush. And then it happens. The crossover no one predicted but everyone desperately needed. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld, colliding like two completely different brands of truthling chaos, aimed directly at California's cologne-scented hologram. One lights the incense, the other sharpens the sarcasm. They interview the experts, read the room, and land on one very grounded, very uncomfortable conclusion. Gavin Newsom's leadership doesn't just miss the market, erases the target.
Runs for national office, he acts like a Republican. This is where the left is really pro-trans. Suddenly, they grow balls.
Rogan doesn't yell. He doesn't foam at the mouth or pound the table. He just lays it out in that deceptively chill podcast voice. The one that sounds like a casual chat until you realize it's actually a slow-motion sledgehammer wrapped in a TED Talk. People are leaving. Businesses are fleeing. Homelessness is skyrocketing. I moved for a reason. He's not even trying to be funny. And that's what makes it hit harder. No punchlines. Just facts delivered with that calm, unbothered tone that somehow makes the whole thing even more unsettling. Then comes Gutfeld, different energy, same weaponized precision. Where Rogan gently dissects the rot. Gutfeld storms in like a stand-up comic who found a government policy binder and decided to read it on stage, with a face that says, "Can you believe this is real?" Rogan gives you the decay, the quiet unraveling. He speaks to the thinkers, the independents, the people who want footnotes and receipts. Gutfeld grabs the skeptics, the critics, the crowd that stopped trusting cable news sometime around Obama's second term. Rogan's audience pulls out charts, timestamps, and long-form interviews. Gutfeld's crowd. They just point at the flaming dumpster and say, "Told you."
California Governor Gavin Newsom has been facing major calls to resign over his appalling handling of the deadly California wildfires. And just to quickly recap, these were the most destructive wildfires the state has ever seen. More than 16,000 properties were destroyed. The cost of the fires is estimated to be more than $200 billion. And for businesses in LA County, the future is looking grim. It's projected businesses will continue to lose billions of dollars over the next 5 years due to
And yet, despite their wildly different styles, both Rogan and Gutfeld land on the same crystal clear conclusion. Gavin Newsom isn't leading. He's performing. And the reviews. 2 thumbs way down. It's not just that he's failing with flair. He's the human embodiment of a movie trailer that promises everything. Drama, depth, revolution. But when you sit through the actual film, it's 90 minutes of empty calories and baffling decisions that leave you wondering if the projector was broken. Or if that was the movie. Rogan and Gutfeld, from opposite corners of the commentary ring, call out the same illusion. Gavin is the avatar of style over substance, of speeches over solutions, of image over impact. And when these two team up, Rogan with his calm, surgical observations and Gutfeld with his roaring, roastmaster energy, it's like watching 2 totally different mechanics take apart the same broken machine. One uses a wrench. The other fires up a chainsaw, but the result is the same. The glossy exterior gets ripped away, piece by performative piece. And maybe the wildest part, the reaction. Usually, Rogan's and Gutfeld's audiences wouldn't be caught dead in the same group chat. But this time, they're all nodding, clicking, reposting, united by the same uncomfortable truth. The emperor's not just naked. He's rehearsing for a presidential debut.
You know, when I went there, I had a great relationship with President Xi. We got along very well. And they treated me better than anybody's ever been treated. And I said, this air is good. Do you know they closed every factory 1 week before I got there from within 200 miles?
That's like what Gavin Newsom did when Xi Jinping came to San Francisco.
He cleaned it up.
He cleaned it up. He got rid of all
Isn't
the
that
homeless
terrible
people.
in a way to think, you know, he cleaned it up and then it became a pigsty.
Well, the dumbest thing is he said when your friends come by, when you have visitors, you clean up your house. Like, how about just keep your fucking house clean?
Can you imagine?
It's the dumbest thing I've ever
I
heard.
keep bringing up Gavin. Well, other than my respect for his work in American Psycho, he's starting to distance himself from his party's worst ideas. Newsom, a guy who hates fossil fuels but could still bring down the price of gas by wringing out his hair, once proclaimed that his state would be a sanctuary to all who seek.
But now somehow they're aligned. Like planets drifting into place before a political eclipse. Libertarians, conservatives, ex-hippies, frustrated and even that one barista who gave up on politics because everything's dumb. They're all nodding in unison. Different backgrounds, different vibes, same realization, maybe, just maybe. The real pandemic wasn't viral, it was political theater in high def. And just when you think it's all winding down, the climactic montage kicks in. At this point, it's not even about who won. It's about what was exposed. Newsom didn't just get called out, he got decoded. The curtain didn't fall, it got yanked open. And standing behind it, a well-lit Instagram filter of leadership that collapses the moment you zoom out. Rogan, He'll probably drop an episode titled Why California Still Sucks. Volume Dubanji because why not? Gutfeld, he might spin the entire debacle into a segment called Gavin's Glamorous Gutter to Requel Parts, Roast and Reality Check. And maybe Gavin takes the criticism to heart. Reflects, adjusts, grows. Just kidding. He'll probably post a filtered selfie next to a wind turbine, flash that signature grin, and call it leadership.